Welcome back. On this episode, we're going to be fitting windows into this van. The type of windows we're going to fit are these top hinge safari style windows. They are tinted, double glazed, come with fly nets and blackout blinds. These are the standard windows that we fit here at Coalition Vans. But today I'm going to show you how to do it in more detail. So normally our van build videos gloss over a lot of things and just try and cram as much work as we can into a video. I figured that now is a good opportunity to show you start to finish on some particular jobs. So the next episode after this hopefully will be fitting a max air fan onto the roof of this van from start to finish. I'm going to tell you all the tips and tricks that I do when fitting these windows, a couple of little things that might vary from other videos you see on the internet, and also I'll try and explain why I do it a certain way. So the first thing we need to do is look at what windows we've got. So we've got actually 4 windows to fit to this van. We've got 900 by 450 on this sliding door. We've got this 700 by 300 for the opposite side of this van. And then in the quarter panels on this van, we've got the glass style oval shaped windows. I'm not sure what they're called. We'll have a look at that later on. But we're going to concentrate mainly on these rectangular windows here. First thing we're going to do though is go over to the bench, unbox it and measure it, because although it might say 900 by 450 on it, we just want to make sure that that is that, because the last thing we want to do is cut a hole out and end up with a bigger hole than needed, because that would be really stupid. So this is a top hinge, I'll turn it around so you can see it. Top hinge 900 by 450, so that's 900 wide by 450 tall. Still in the box. I'm going to unbox it now very quickly so that we can see it, get it out on the bench and measure. So in the box we get the window and then we get the internal fascia and blind. For the time being we don't need this, but it is good to have a look at it. It all looks in good condition, not damaged or anything. I'm gonna put this back in the box. So that is what the window looks like. Again, tinted. It's got a film on it to protect it. We're gonna leave that film on because we don't want it to get damaged in any way. It's also got a film around the frame as well, so we can lay this down on the workbench without damaging it. This is the internal frame which the blinds mount to. We'll use that a little bit later. These screws that come with it, we're going to bin those. Top tip, they are crap. Get rid of them and use your own screws. You can use normal sort of self-tapping wood screws and that kind of thing on these because they're already pre-drilled, but those screws are like butter, and last thing you want is a screw rounding off while you're fitting this. Inside you've got 4 locking points which have extra locks on to make sure that they can't be opened, kind of like child locks, and then the pneumatic shaft, we'll call it. I'll just show you these open. So this is what they're going to look like when they open, and these are windproof as well, wind resistant, so they are very sturdy. Well, they just don't move. I opened mine in a real gust last night and they take some blowing. They take some blowing. Anyway, let's get to it. So we're going to measure. We've got to measure this line here. Try and ignore this internal thing. This is what the frame fits to. We've got to measure this one here. So we've got 900 and then we've got 450. So again, as expected, 900 by 450. It's always best to double check because again, you don't want to be cutting a hole out that's bigger than the window that you've got. The next job is to go back over to the van. So in this panel here, the way that I do this is I'm going to measure from this point here, from the end of the door to this side of the door. I'm going to measure across it and then find the middle point, and then we've got a point to start at, a centre. Then measure from this crease to this crease and find a centre this way, and then we're going to work out from that centre point. So that window will be absolutely central to this panel, which is what you want from the outside. However, on the inside, it will be slightly off centre, and that's because of the way the internals of the door work. However, really, from the outside, you want it to look perfect. That's just my preference. So perfect on the outside, because the last thing you want is you looking at your van from the outside, or somebody else looking at your van, and the window looking like it's been put in wrong. So we're going to measure from the centre of the outside so it looks perfect. hopefully now you can see that I've drawn this window template on. I've measured it, basically as you saw, I've measured the centre line on both sides and drew this cross, and then I've worked out from there, and then measured from the sides to make sure it's level, measured from the top. I decided that the top line was where I was going to go from to measure down to make sure it's all accurate. So that is it. So basically now all we've got to do is mask this off so that the jigsaw doesn't scratch the window or anything, and also we'll mask off the inside so then we've got a bit of a line where we can see things a little bit better, and then we're going to cut it out. So the tools that we're going to use for this job, we're going to use a drill, and the first thing we're going to do is drill the corners out. I'll just pop you there. First thing we're going to do is drill the corners out so we can get the jigsaw in, and then we've got something to join up to when we cut with the jigsaw. And then of course we're going to use the jigsaw. People have mixed reviews on what tools they use. People keep telling me about nibblers and that, but for me, it's preference, but for me, I can get a good line with this, and the nibbler leaves quite big shards in comparison to what this leaves. So I would rather not have those bits lying around on the floor, whether it gets in tires and all that kind of thing. So I would rather go with this. It does leave a bit of steel dust, but it can be hoovered up easily, and also it's not going to get in tires and damage it. So just my preference. You can use a bloody angle grinder if you want to. It's no big deal. Use whatever tools you think's right for you. So I'm going to use this little drill bit first, and then I'm going to use a bigger drill bit, which is just here, and that is the width of the jigsaw blade, or a little bit bigger. We're going to make sure that we're not going right in the centre, we're going off centre, so that when we put the jigsaw blade in, we can then follow the line from the inside. So we're not going to go on the outside of those lines, because that's an important bit. If we go on the outside of these lines, our hole's going to be slightly bigger than we need it to be. However, if you do go off by a couple of mil, it's not the end of the world, because the flange of the window, you've got a bit of wiggle room. So this may be 1 or 2 mil bigger than the 900 by 450, but we'd rather it be that than try and have to skim off a mil later down the line. Gives it a little bit of wiggle room. Again, only 1 or 2 mil, don't go any bigger than that, ideally. Let's get cracking. So that's the window masked. Now, I'm going to use my small drill bit. Come in a little bit, come in. There you go. And I'm going to go not to the line, I'm going to go further back from the line. So that means that when I come to put the bigger drill bit in, it will more or less be around where those lines are, and then we can get the jigsaw up there. So we've got our 4 holes drilled. I think they're 10 mil holes, and it's just big enough for the jigsaw blade to get in, and we can start to follow this line up. However, there's another job we need to do on the inside before we start this, and it just makes things a little bit easier further down the line. Okay, so here we are on the inside. Sorry about the darkness. You see this brace here? We're going to get rid of this. Now the reason we're going to get rid of this is because when we're cutting across here with a jigsaw, it's going to create a double skin, which is going to create a snag, which is potentially going to cause some problems. And also when we come to square up the window on the inside, if we just chop through it here, we're still going to end up with this ugly bit here, which is going to cause, like I said, going to cause problems later on. So we're going to get the grinder and we're going to cut it right at the top and right at the bottom, and then we're going to pull it off. It is bonded on, but it's bonded on with some really crap bond, so we'll just get a blade or something down there and snip that off, get rid of that completely, so then when we come to using the jigsaw to cut out the window frame, we'll not have any snags or anything. It's just a little thing that makes it easier. You could do it the other way, you could just go straight through it and then figure that bit out, but we'll just do it this way for the sake of this video. That was essentially a 2-minute job. 2-minute job is now done. It's just going to make things a little bit easier for us when we're cutting across. So now we're going to go back to the outside and we're going to get cracking with the jigsaw. Safety gear, safety first. I'm just going to show you how to get started out of this hole and how we're going to get to this line, and then I'm going to follow the line up and then we'll time lapse the rest because it's quite boring. You're probably not going to want to see me go all the way around until the point where I need to tell you something, then I'll let you know, okay? So, as you can see, hopefully you can see there, we've come out of the hole, a slight turn, and now we're heading up this line. We're going to go all the way up. Whoop. We're going to go all the way up past this hole. We're not going to join this hole. We're going to go right up and keep following our line up until that corner. And then we'll go from this point out of the hole all the way to the far corner. And then once we've done that, we'll go back the opposite way and join up all the lines in these corners, and then the window will be free. So we're a fair chunk of the way through now. We've got 3 sides done, but as you can see, we're starting to get a bit of a wobble. So what we're going to do is we're going to tape this up to try and eliminate some of that vibration, because we're going to do the bottom line and it's going to be wobbling all over the place. So I'm going to tape that up. I just wanted to stop this so I can explain that to you rather than just go ahead and do it. We're going to tape it up so that this doesn't flap about as much. I'm going to tape it from the inside as well as the outside. Just taping the top should be adequate, but I'm going to put some down the sides as well, just to be on the safe side. And there we have it. Hopefully, this is going to fit. Look at that, first time. No messing around. Now that genuinely was first time. If you just measure twice, cut thrice, you're fine. So that is perfect in there. There's a mil wiggle room maybe. A couple of mil top and bottom. Absolutely stunning. So the next thing we're going to do is going to go to the bench. We're going to gloop this up, and then I'm going to show you how to make the wooden frame for it, or essentially what is a wooden frame for it. Whilst we are glooping up and making the wooden frame, we're going to treat this edge that we've just cut with a bit of Hammerite straight to rust paint. We're just going to dab it on. We can do it with a brush or a cloth or something. Just going to go all the way around and make sure that this is treated so that we don't, it's for rust prevention further down the line. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to file this as well to get rid of any shards. It's not very sharp to be fair, but we're going to give it a little quick file, and then we're going to paint it, and then while that paint's drying we're going to go to the bench and continue on with the other bits. So the next stage before we try and put the window in is to frame out the window on the inside. Now what that helps to do is, it helps to support the window and support the metal of the van, but also when you come to put this frame onto here, it gives it something to clamp against, which means that it pushes the sealant, squeezes it together and forms a much tighter seal. However, a top tip when fitting these windows to the sides of a van is to not frame it out with wood. So we don't have a frame all the way around. It actually goes on there. We're not going to have it all the way around, because on the sides, if we use this wood, it then tries to warp the side of the van. The side of the van is slightly curved, and if we use the wood, it's going to bring that panel straight, which means it brings in a bit, it makes it warped. Just that's what I'm saying. On my van, the first window that I did on my van, I did that, it's warped. Did it the other way, the way I'm about to show you on the second window, it looks perfect. So all we're going to do is batten the top and bottom. So we're going to cut off some 900 lengths of timber, one top, one bottom, and we're going to do it that way. We're not going to put any on the sides. It will still have the same effect because it's still pulling that panel in, it's still pulling the window in, we're just not having the wood on the sides. This way is going to be much easier and much better, much more practical for the van. I'm about to pop the window in now we've sealed it. The only thing is, it's easy to have 2 people for this bit, and I don't have 2 people right now. So I'm going to pop it in, tape it on the outside just to hold it in place, and then from the inside, I'm then going to go in and screw the frame on with the battens at the back of it. So the window is in place now. There's plenty of gloop spread out on the inside of this now, so it's unlikely we'll get any leaks. I've still got to be a bit careful with this because I've only taped it on temporarily. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this frame on here and then line this up to it. So that's the window in now. It's in securely, it can't come out. I can open it up fully, I can shake it all about if I wanted to. But these 2 bits of wood are making sure that that is squeezed tight when we go on the outside, there's going to be gloop all around the outside, and we have to get that off before that starts to set. More is better than less. Less isn't more in this situation. Now, you might be able to see down here, it's a bit dark, but there's lots of gloop spread about here. That is going to ensure that no water can get in. And also we've got quite a lot at the top. Again, water's running down the panel. There's no way it can get in. So there's no way this window is going to leak. And that's that. That's the window done. All the excess sealant is wiped off now. We've got a good load of sealant on it. It's now good to go. It'll be dry in a few hours time. The last job to do now is to get the blind on the inside. So we're going to do that now, and then that is done. And that is that. The customer isn't having this full van built, so I don't know what finish he's going to put on this door, but I'm going to plan for that he's going to carpet this door. And double carpeting over this frame, you'll not see that frame, or they're going to box the window in. You'll not see that frame top or bottom, but that is the way you would install a window. I'm going to pop the little inserts here in the front so that the customer can access those screws easier when they come to take that off. But for the benefits of this video, that is how you install a window with blackout blinds, fly nets, double glazed, lockable. And there you go. So that is how you install these top hinged double glazed windows. This is how I would do it, and this is how I would recommend you do it. Top tips, as I've already kind of touched on, don't be scared to make mistakes. Don't be scared to second guess yourself. You should be worried and you should be nervous about doing these jobs. It's when you get too cocky and too giddy and too ahead of yourself that mistakes happen. So second guess yourself all the time. Measure 3 times, measure 4 times if you need to. There's no shame in that. But that's a beautiful looking window. This has been a tutorial video, which is unlike me, and I'll see you soon with a bye Felicia.